Brothers and sisters, please take your seats. We're about to begin the English program in 1 minute, so please take your seats. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. صلى على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه المنتجبين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On behalf of Madif Al Ameer, I'd like to welcome you all to our program tonight. Before we commence with the program, I want to share with you a few reminders. The banners that you see right in front of you, the flag of Imam Hussain alayhi salam and the flag of Abu Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam, are actually from the shrines. I was just told earlier. And we are honestly blessed that they're actually from the shrines, and hopefully we can all gain some blessings from these beautiful flags. Please ensure that your cars are parked legally. Please ensure that your mobile phones are either switched off or put on silent so it doesn't disturb the program. And most importantly, my dear brothers and sisters, if you are feeling unwell or you have flu-like symptoms, please do the right thing by staying at home. And most importantly as well, that we are live on all of our social media platforms at Madif Al Ameer, and on YouTube and Facebook, and on Nur Al Huda TV. I think that's what it's called. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The pages of history are full of uprisings, movements, and revolutions. But only one movement continues, attracting the hearts, stimulating the minds, and jolting the conscience. It is the uprising of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. The uprising breathed new spirit in the body of Islam. His grandfather, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, referred to this reality when he said, "Hussain is from me, and I am from Hussain." Without further ado, brothers and sisters, please join me in welcoming our speaker for tonight, Nazan Hussain, with three of you lot of salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Now let's recite Surah Fatiha for all the Marhumin and the Shuhada. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina wa Habibi Qulubina Shafi'i Zumina Zunubina Khatamin Nabiyyin Bil Qasimi Muhammad. Salawat Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين ورحمة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من يومنا هذا إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل لا أسألكم أجرا عليه إلا المودة في القربى. صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وجل فرجهم. Brothers and sisters, it's already the 1st of Muharram tonight, and we have gathered here to commemorate to give condolences to the mother of the Lord of the Martyrs, Imam Hussain alayhi salam. As I've been advised to speak in English, so I'll try to keep the lecture 20 to 25 minutes. So I really won't take much of your time, because everything what we do these days asks for two things. Whatever it is, every human being, no matter what action he's doing, he is calculating every second of his. It's T and M, whether it's time or money. No matter what, how much time it takes and how much money it involves. Everybody is talking about profit and loss. And I would do my best to ensure that your time is not lost. Inshallah, there will be something to ponder, to take away from here tonight. A lot of people say, why we have to come to Majlis? The first question is, everybody says, why should we go to Majlis? Look, this is one of the rarest of the phenomenon that's happening across the world. You know, there are seminars, there are programs, there are conferences held across the world. When you hold a seminar or a conference, there is a subject particular to it, and there is a particular fraternity which is actually attending that program. If it is a medical, then people who are interested in medical field are only attending those programs. If there is a program on something else, let's say civil engineering or construction, they would like to, people who are specialized in that field. These gatherings of Imam Hussain alayhi salam or Muharram gatherings are the rare phenomenon wherein people from every walk of life are sitting on the same pedestal. In a normal majalis or programs that we see, people, whether it's highly qualified or normal qualified, whether it's high intellect or low intellect, everybody is sitting on the same platform, and that is gift of none other than Imam Hussain alayhi salam. In a masjid, you may have the sheikh in the front or the deputy behind, and there are seniors in the front, and so on and so forth. But this is something very unique, and this is what beneficial to us. Now let me talk, let me be very honest with you, because since you're giving your time, I need to be honest with you. I'm not here to sell anything, but I'm here to tell something which you already know or which you are already aware of. That is why we have these Muharram programs, wherein every year we just revive our spirits, we understand our responsibilities. Imam Hussain has done his work for us, and what is we as a new generation, what is our responsibility? And my topic for tonight will be very simple, very easy. I have my 13-year-old son here, who is one of the best critics for me. Small is beautiful. The topic tonight is very simple, very easy for a 10-year-old. He can understand. It's small is beautiful. When I say small action is beautiful, then somebody must be telling me, brother, what about the big action and bigger action? Big is more beautiful, bigger is most beautiful. It's up to you how beautiful. But the action, smaller the action is definitely beautiful, as long as your intention to perform is correct. Now let me explain you a little bit about this. You know, people keep telling you, read this lengthy ayats. When I was small, as a teenager, my father used to take me for dua kumail it used to take about 45 minutes. As an 11, 12-year-old boy, what I used to do, when the Dua Kumail starts, I'll run away, quietly go make an excuse, go for washroom or something, and towards the end come back and sit. Because that was the age which I did not understand what's happening there. I really had to know. If I knew what was happening or being explained to me, at least a 10% interest would have been generated into me. So now I want to quote one hadith. Why I said small is beautiful, and I want to justify this by the hadith of Imam. It says, any small action, whatever I'm talking is from the references, but let's make it very simple for tonight. Any action that is performed by thoughtfulness is equivalent to 70 years of fastings and salat. That's an interesting thing. Any action. So it's the responsibility of the elders or people like me to tell my younger brothers why I'm doing this. So people of different fraternity come here from different walks of life, different, I wouldn't say classes, because we all belong to the most elite class that's followers of Imam Hussain. So that's none of my consideration. Now when we are coming here, everyone is having some sort of expectation. Well, if it's a businessman, he wants the program to be organized, like how a business is organized. If he's a doctor, he has his own mindset. But what the people forget is each person is an individual in himself. He is having his own personal battles at home. Even to me, a person looks like a highly qualified doctor, but on that particular day, he may be having challenges on how to deal with his son, or he may be having a problem with his in-laws, or somebody called us, just to make it more, create some laughter among you. Some of us call our in-laws as outlaws, Let's recite aloud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. That's something which we need to ponder. Every action. So everybody who is coming here is coming with certain hope, and that is why Rasulullah said it's an ark of salvation. You don't have to be who's done prayers for like 50 years or 60 years or 70 years. It's okay, that's good. It doesn't mean that person who has not performed his prayers but he has the love of Ahlul Bayt, he'll be left out. No, not at all. Everybody, some people become good at the age of 20, 30, 40, but there is time. You have to wait for the right time. We cannot judge for anyone that somebody is bad, he's actually bad. No, allow him some time. And if there is lawful and unlawful activities, the law will take its own course. Yeah. Now let me tell you a small story of one of the prophets. You'll really love this. How if you do too much of prayers and if you do not have humility, how it goes wasted and what it's worth. And the arrogance is something which kills. If a person does prayers for 50 years and he has least bit of arrogance, then that will be very difficult for him to sail through. The story is asked like this. One of the Prophet's time, probably it was Nabi Musa, there's one person who's always into prayers. Let's say he prayed for 50 years. He asked Nabi Musa, tell me, what has God kept reward for me for the time I prayed for 50 years? He's boasting with confidence and he's high on, he's riding on the waves. Now he tells Nabi Musa, since you go and talk to God, talk to Allah and let me know your answer. Okay. After some days, he is on a journey, going to some place, and it's late in the night, and he's lost his way. When he's lost his way, he's trying to find his way, and he's unable to find the way. And he's looking for the way, and it's hours together. He's trying to search, and he's not able to find a way. He finds a house, there is some light in it, and he tries to walk towards that. Hope. He says there is some hope for my survival. I've not had food for one whole day, no water for entire day, everything is finished. Now the light is a hope for him, and he goes to that house. When he reaches that house, he meets a man. He says, brother, do you have a glass of water for me? He says, yes, I do have. I will give you the water, but what in return would you give me? If you remember, this man prayed for 50 years and he wanted to ask for his reward in in his capacity, he thought it's his prayers which he's offering to Allah. Right? Now he says, I need a glass of water. Please give me a glass of water. He said, okay, here's the glass of water. Okay. And what are you going to give me in return? He says, for my entire life, I've only performed prayers and prayers. I have nothing, no material stuff, nothing to offer you. He says, okay. Yeah, I have one thing. I've prayed for about 50 years. Maybe I can offer you that. He says, okay, that's a good deal. Half of it. He says, let me keep it half for myself. Maybe half of my prayers, whatever efforts, I keep Allah as witness. I'll give you my prayers. Okay. He says, oh, what a good deal. He gives the glass of water. He has the glass of water and he says, thank you, and goes away. Now, after some time, he's searching for his way. He's trying to go back and find his way. And there's like another night is spent, he comes back. He's almost in a dying situation. He says, brother, you are the only person I know in this entire forest, in this place. Now can you help me? He says, what do you want? Just give me one glass of water. I'm really dying of thirst. He says, okay, sure, here it is. There's the glass. Now what do you have? He says, as I told you, I have not earned anything except for performing prayers. Okay. Now, he says, okay, you said you have given me half of your life of your prayers, 25 years of worth of your prayers. Okay. Now, I guess if you recall, you have still 25 years of prayers left with you. Are you ready to deal with that for your life? He says, I have no choice. If I want to live, then I have to trade that. Here's your glass of your water, and then he just trades that because he wants to survive. If his actions would have been for the sake of Allah and really committed, there are people who, I'm not saying what he did was wrong, but there are stages how you want to move up. If he had little bit of humility in his prayers, I'm going to prove you by Quran. Like there is a curse. Allah says, curse upon the people who read Salat. Now, this is a shocking statement, right? Curse, fawailul lil musallin. I'm sure people have heard. Arayta allazi yukazibu biddin. He says, curse upon the people who perform prayers. Now, there is a comma. There's no full stop after this. I'll tell you why. He says, okay, the story, coming back to the story, he gives a glass of water and he goes back and he meets Nabi Musa. He says, Salam alaikum, alaikum salam, okay. Says, Nabi Musa asks, hey, I remember you asked me a question, what is the worth of 50 years of your prayers? What is the reward? Now, the person himself introspects, he thinks, he says, Nabi Musa, you don't need to go to Allah to ask the answer. I already know the answer, the worth of it. Had I been humble with myself, I wouldn't have traded the worth of my prayers. My entire life, what I prayed, is not even a worth glass of water. Now tell me, the people who serve a single glass of water to the people, lovers of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, and what is their value here? And that's why I'm saying we need to know what we are worth of. That's like I'm saying, small is beautiful. The man who was just peacefully sitting, he just traded with a glass of water. Yes? It's not that this is how we're supposed to deal with our guests. That's a different concept. But what we need to understand is we need to be smarter. Now, something very interesting for the younger generation. It says, what do we call this phone? Let me ask my son, what phone? What do we call this phone in general terms? Smartphone, right? This is the biggest problem. The phones are smarter, but the phones are making us the dumb. And you can ask anyone, smartphones are making humans a lot of dumb. Why? Because we are not trying to process any information. We are not being part of the people who are content creators. We are, as the end users, we are being driven. So I may not impress you with my vocabulary, with my pronunciation or my personality, but my message is very serious, and I'm being very serious. I'm here in Australia. Inshallah, if I'm alive for the next 10 years, that will be my focus. Whether any of my friends, surroundings, I want every of my younger generation, my brothers, my children, anybody, any action that you perform, you need to think and do. Even if you do a bad thing, I don't care. Let's say you do a sport, you should have a valid reason for it. You should be able to justify and tell why I'm doing this. If you don't have an answer to yourself, then you can't answer anyone. Now, the most important thing as an individual, right? Look, the life here, when I was young guy, whether it's 20 or 21 or 22 age, my father used to say, okay, you got to come back home on time. So we used to come back, but the newer generation, it's very difficult to control them, very difficult. So how we control them is give them smaller, make it things task easier. Like yesterday, I said, reciting just one line of Quran or just keep open, say Bismillah, and do it over a period of 1 year. Now, let me come back from the hadith. The biggest problem we have in our society, as I have faced, I had friends who were from different backgrounds. My parents or my elder brothers say, no, this guy is so and so bad. It's in the bad company, But I know when you get closer to them, you should know why that person is doing such and such thing. It should have been my brother's responsibility to take a step further to understand my friends and see if he really needs some counseling, some sort of help, financial help, or probably some guidance in education. We cannot just brand them and run away. And the thing starts, charity begins at home. What we can do is we can start doing this in our first circle that we interact with. We cannot just slam the door on likes and dislike. If we keep doing, we will isolate ourselves. We will isolate. I definitely will do that. Because if you want to make friends with better people, and the better people want to make friends with higher them, they will leave you. So why should the people who are more qualified should make friends with you? So the only thing that can get us along with different strata of people, the number one thing what Rasulullah is akhlaq. If your akhlaq is good, the way you question, I'm okay if people don't perform their prayers or do anything, it's okay. But as long as you have a reason for it, and then you can speak to Allah, that's between you and Him. But be nice. When you're saying you don't want to don't do rebel. Don't be aggressive. Because the only word in Quran which is not from dictionary, which is an expression, or probably there could be more, is the word uff. Our brothers, a lot of Arabic brothers will agree. Uff is, you are not supposed to do uff to your mother. Look, it says, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Rabbil Alameen means God, Allah is the God of, caretaker of the entire universe. But the meaning of Rabb is caretaker. It could be your parent also the Rabb. If we do not respect our parents, then how can we respect the Creator? So the first thing is we begin at home. It's both ways. There has to be a chance given to everybody to express their opinion, to bring along. Like smaller the action, if your intention is good, it will take you like a rocket to the destination. Now I'll make it very simple. Like I say, you don't have to do big amals. Then later, there are some things. What is the easiest thing? What are the 3 things? So somebody asks, how do I improve my life? Just do one thing. One thing, do astaghfar. Astaghfar is the easiest thing. When you're going, just say, okay, everybody is normal human beings. You sin. When you do astaghfar, your sins will be forgiven. And second thing is, if you want to even get more blessings, the easiest thing to recite Quran. Just recite. Just one line. It's not mentioned to recite like 50, 100 pages, and in Ramadan you wear your cap and become like a sheikh. No, nothing. Just open one line. Yes, I do. And the third thing is to recite salawat, which also gets your sins forgiven, and you have more blessings, which is the combination of the two. Let's recite a salawat, brothers. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Now, I'm telling you, most of us, when we use the smartphone, why it's making us dumb? And multitasking is the worst thing to do. You can really Google it, check it. We are in an age where we are doing multitasking. Multitasking actually kills the brain. There is an oxygenated glucose that goes to the brain. If you keep doing multitasking at the time, we are using WhatsApp, at the top, a friend's birthday, happy birthday. And below there's another WhatsApp group that says, okay, my uncle passed away. You say happy birthday, oh, that's a great day. After a moment, there's a bad news, sad news. You say, Inna lillah wa inna ilaihi raji'un. Okay, may Allah. Your emotions are changing in span of seconds. Span of seconds. You're doing multitasking. At the same time, you have an office email or some other video you're watching. This smartphone is actually driving you. You are not doing, or I'm also part of that virus. I've done my best to detox myself. As long as you use it for what you need, not someone else needs it. Like YouTube will check, or Twitter, Facebook, XYZ website will check your behavior and it'll keep feeding you. You are eating, you're consuming what is being fed to you, not what you want. Each person has the ability to make a rocket, but as long as he thinks, we are being fed. What I want to ensure is the Shia of Imam Hussain or the youth of today has to be content creators, not the end users who are being driven. It could be any housewife, anybody, any family person, if she has an idea, that's very easy. Now let me prove this. Why I'm saying, brothers, for those in Arabic, can someone tell me the opposite of jahl? Very interesting. A lot of sheikhs recite, I can come here with the book of hadith, read the translation, read the stories. It's easy for me to deliver and go. No, that's not something I'm here for. I'm here to do what I needed, because I can relate to my generation, my brothers. I keep interacting. Now, let me tell you, when you are being driven, when I talk about the hare and the tortoise, have you heard of the story of the hare and tortoise? Have you heard of the story? We are being taught, it says, the moral of the story is slow and steady wins the race. No, my brother, the new generation will say, I do not want to be the tortoise. What I want my brothers to do is not slow and steady, but smart and stable. It's something which I want you to focus on. Slow and steady, if you remember the story in your childhood, you heard, slow and steady wins the race, that the rabbit or the hare was sleeping and the tortoise actually won the race. That's the story. Why? Because they say, slow and steady wins the race, just keep doing what you're doing. No. The rabbit knows its win. It's just a chance event. It's a probability that happened because the rabbit was sleeping. If the rabbit was to be awake, not a single time will the tortoise win with the rabbit. Yes? Not a single time, as long as you keep your eyes. That's what I'm saying. We are smarter like the rabbit. We are sharp. We know our potential, but we got to keep our eyes open. We need to drive. We don't want to be driven. You need to ask. It's the responsibility of the children to ask critical questions to the parents. Why I'm doing this? Oh, mom, why should I go to Madlis? Why should I go to play? Why should I eat this dinner? Why not this? If you keep asking questions, it'll improve your ability and widen the database in your mind. Not going to Google is every time. Pause for a moment. Now, concluding this whole section of discussion, you go at the end of the night, each person is accountable to himself. Like I said, you cannot control anyone. If you really want to be independent in life, while you're sleeping, while you're driving, or while you're alone, take just 40 seconds, and think what good you did, what bad you did, and how you can improve on your actions. Just take 40 seconds. There is a little delta change, like small action. Have I done something which is, that's why Imam said, if a person's 2 days are equal, he's not from amongst us, which means he's not focusing to improve himself. The only thing what we want to do is think and act. Don't be driven. The moment you go to App Store, you see, I want to do this. Okay. Do you know something? That Google is not the only search engine. There are thousands of search engine providers which are being blocked for us. We are being fed by Google what he wants to give. There are many scholarly articles being written which are hidden from us, which are just because Google wants us to see, it gives us the top 10 and we choose the first 10. I hope you understand what I'm trying to emphasize here for tonight. I'm trying to make it, this is a serious problem, that a huge mass, but there is a section of people who are driving us, who create the programs. Now what I said, coming back to my question, when people go to Hausa or so on and so forth, people think they are just reading historical books and about the Salat, and no, there's not like that. There are some subjects I want to emphasize. There's Kitabul Aql wal Jahl. The opposite of Jahl is not ilm. The opposite of Jahl is Aql. In today's generation, if I want to hire a programmer to make an application, I will just see his application will just be a token to cross over to my interview table. The first thing I'll see is his ability. These days people are not seeing the qualifications, but they are seeing if he really can do it. They say, okay, qualification we can take care later, but can you do this job for me? If you have the aql to do, because the youth today are breaking all the barriers and the new systems are being broken. So as long as you know what your potential is, you know what your action is, it can just take you miles away, brothers. It's very simple. And you got to be bold. You really have to be bold. You have to keep asking questions. But that doesn't mean you have to be disrespectful. You got to be respectful. Let's recite the salawat, brothers. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad ajil farajum. Like, there are things which have side effects, right? There are medicines which have side effects. You have it. And there are many foods. Why I'm emphasizing is the food that you have, it plays a big role in the society. You have to think what kind of food we are consuming. If you have a good car, let's say you have a Ferrari or Maserati or Ducati, and you put a lower quality fuel in that won't be so efficient. And after some time, what will happen is you say, okay, the car is getting spoiled. Why? Because the fuel that we are putting in that is not up to the mark. That's not what's supposed to be given. That's why it's giving problems. Likewise, we as human beings have certain class. And if we have the wrong food, we don't ascertain where it's coming from, then we are certainly, the bad effects are there to see. As an example, very simple example I'll give you, there was a child who was in one of the masjids. There's a water pot kept. He takes a stone out of, just for fun, he takes it and breaks the water pot, or the water flows out. When he says water flows out, then his father is very angry at that action. He does not go to the child and scold him. He goes to the mother and asks, says, my son did such an action which really embarrassed me. What sort of teaching have we done? We have really done hard work. He has been attending classes. He's so good. He's performed prayers, everything. Then he asked, when he was in your stomach, what do you recall there was anything that you did which was something which is not unsavory, not good? So the lady says, I remember we had a tough time. We could not buy fruits when this boy was in my stomach. What I did is, one of my neighbors kept their amana, kept some fruits in my house, and out of curiosity, out of desperation, I took a needle, I poked into the pomegranate, the fruit, and I tasted that. That little thing has caused ill effect. He asked the Imam, and Imam says that's one of the reasons that bad effect has come into the child. Imagine what kind of food we consume, it creates an impact on us. And likewise, the thing is, to make small is beautiful, we have to have accessibility and availability. These things, this is the last section of my lecture tonight, or the majlis tonight, is accessibility and availability. These are the two things which make us to use anything or to follow anything. Anything that you make it available, easily available, everybody takes that. When you put it in front of them. If we make things difficult for our children, whether it's counseling, whether it's advice or the literature books, the moment we enter a house, we can tell what sort of culture this house has. Maybe he's listening to music or watching movies. It's okay, that's his choice. I'm not going to say anything on that. But a student's room should be like a student's room. His table should be like a student's table. There should be certain books, and there has to be some visibility that the moment I see a student's table, there should be some homework written or some sort of books, and there should be continuous touch with his study table. That's the responsibility of a student. If he's a professional, he has to be, his house should be like that. And if in the house, I recently asked for a Quran since I was new. I went to a house. He says, we only have one, it's just kept somewhere. I said, okay, no, I understand now where I'm coming from and what's my responsibility here in order to get everyone to the very basics. And it's, once again, it's incorrect to make a judgment about the people. That so-and-so is not performing, he's into, always playing soccer, watching games online and doing whatnot. But it's, give them a chance, stay around them. As long as the guide, the Rabb, the leader, the family, head of the family, or the big brother has a close relation with the person, he should feel confident and the door should be open. And that's why, brothers, there was a personality among the Shuhada Karbala, among the 72, one of the best, he is Hur. He was in the camps of enemy. Not a single person from Imam Hussain had crossed over to the other side. But out of the million followers of Yazid, there was one person called Hur. Why? Because there was a conversation between Imam Hussain and Hur. That is something which gave him a food for thought, and he took it back home. He said, is your mother more superior or my mother superior? He was keep on contemplating on that. The entire night, what he did, he only did one thing. He thought of his action before performing. And finally, after you perform, you make your thinking and you comprehend, you have to come to a conclusion. And he made a conclusion, this life is nothing, it's going to end here. The purpose of life, if I want something to be eternal, if I want to remain in this world, who is not there in this world anymore? But people from 1,400 years are taking his name, and so many poems and so many things are written. Why? Because one night he made a decision, crossed over to Imam Hussain, and he made anything that is related to Imam Hussain and associated to Imam Hussain will make it everlasting, brothers and sisters. Let's recite aloud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And lastly, like I said, small actions are beautiful. Very small action. What did Imam Hussain say towards its end? I'm not going to take much time tonight, but I'll finish in 2 minutes. What did Imam Hussain say towards the end of his life? He said, Shiyati ma'in sharatum ma'azbun faskuruni. Oh brothers, oh my Shia, oh my followers, if you quench your thirst with cold water, if you quench your thirst with cold water, if you drink water to quench your thirst, just remember me. The thing is, the surprising part is, Imam Hussain remembered us during his most toughest time. He didn't call his family members, he didn't call his father or anyone he might have called, but he did not forget us. So our responsibility is very simple. Let me make it very simple. In order to conclude this, Prophet asked Salman, who among this, and he asked in the crowd, who amongst you has done 6 months of or maybe 5 months of fasting, who amongst you has read 200 rakat of salat? He asked. Only Salman was raising his hand. He said, people said, this person was Salman al-Farsi was roaming in the streets, in the bazaars. We did not see him performing so many prayers. He said, Ya Rasulullah, you said, if I say Ya Ali, it is equivalent to 1,000 rakats of prayers. If I say Ya Ali, it is equivalent to so many number of days of fasting. So since morning, I have been just saying Ya Ali, Ya Ali, Ya Ali. Very simple. That's how you have to be smart. That's one thing. And when I talked about Imam Hussain, when you drink a glass of water, keep it very simple. Just remember the thirst of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. People say, brother, what happens when you read a dua? Does it make an effect? Okay, when I call someone and tell him a bad word to a random person, there's no physical connection with me and him, but it does make an impact and he comes back to fight with me, right? Likewise, when you have good akhlaq and present to someone, it does create some sort of positive thing. Likewise is the dua. It's an ark of salvation. If you drink water, think of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. If you have spare time, just recite the names of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Just keep it very simple. And the last thing to do is keep yourself away from impurities. That's all, brothers. I keep it very simple tonight, and I'll pass the mic to the people performing Musibah, and let's recite aloud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Inshallah, tonight is the second night of Muharram. Tonight I've made this night for Al-Imam Al-Madloom, the oppressed Imam Al-Hasan Al-Mujtaba alayhi salam. This Imam, inshaAllah, a lot of Shia don't mention him a lot. So I've made this night for him. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sallallahu alayka ya Rasul Allah wa ala ali baytika al-Madlumin. Peace and blessings be upon you, my beloved Holy Prophet, and Ahlul Bayt. It was in your homes that Allah blessed us with guidance and revelation, and upon you descends the angels day in and day out. As-salamu ala al-Hussain wa ala Ali ibn al-Hussain وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. حسين يا حسين cries of the children, Hussein, Ya Hussein. The cries of Zainab, Hussein, Ya Hussein, Hussein, Ya Hussein. لعن الله الظالمين لكم من الأولين والآخرين. Peace and blessings be upon you, O poisoned one, O oppressed Imam, Al-Imam Al-Hasan Al-Mushtaba. Assalamu alayka, the son of Rasulullah. Peace be upon our master, Imam Al-Hasan Al-Mushtaba. 3 plots were prepared to kill Imam Al-Hasan Al-Mushtaba alayhi salam during the ruling of Muawiyah, la'anahullah. The first of them was the strike of the sword during his prayer. However, he was able to overcome it. Assalamu alayka ya Mawlaya. And the second of them was narrated by Shaykh al-Mufid, and it was when Ibn Sinan al-Asadi stabbed him while saying, "You're a polytheist, O Hassan, just as your father was." La'anahullah. هذا اللعين Sinan al-Asadi. And the third of them, he was stabbed once again during his prayers. He was saved from the strike once again. Then finally, Muawiyah, la'anahullah, was able to persuade Muawiyah was able to persuade the wife of Imam Al-Hasan Al-Mushtaba, Ja'da, to kill him. He promised her that if she was to successfully kill Imam Al-Hasan, he would marry her to his son Yazid, la'anahumullah, and give her a large amount of money. Ja'da became weak before his temptation and accepted Muawiyah's offer. He sent her a strong poison with a portion of the money, la'anahullah. During the month of Safar, Ja'da waited for a day in which the Imam was fasting. When it became time to break his fast, the cursed one came to him with a cup of poisoned milk. Our Imam, salamullahi alayhi, drank the milk and his body weakened quickly. His insides fell apart, such that the narrations say that the Imam felt his insides were being ripped apart by razors and knives. The Imam
endured his pain for a few days as his situation got worse and the poison affected his body more. He asked for a bowl, and within this bowl, he would cough blood and parts of his insides. Assalamu alayka ayyuha al-madhmum al-masmum. Imam Hussain, Abu Abdullah, visited his brother constantly after the situation of the Imam became harder and more severe. Imam Hussain found it difficult to see his brother in such a state. Imam al-Hassan looked at his brother, Imam al-Hussain. He told him, Akhi Hussain, don't feel pain for me. Imam al-Hassan told his brother, Akhi Hussain, there is no day like your day. La yawmuka yawmuka ya Aba Abdullah. Oh Aba Abdullah, 30,000 will come at you and kill you and will capture your family members. In this instant, al-Masa'ib Zainab, Sayyida Zainab came and stood at the door. Imam al-Hassan said to Imam al-Hussain, Akhi Abu Abdullah, hide the bowl so that our sister Zainab does not see it. Nevertheless, Zainab alayhi salam entered and found the covered bowl hidden in the corner of the room. She uncovered it and saw the blood of Imam al-Hassan and began to cry. Akhi ya Hassan, Salamullahi alayk. Imam al-Hassan's suffering remained and the effects of the poison were apparent until the signs of death began to show upon his face. There Imam al-Hassan gave his will to Imam al-Hussain. Shortly after, he prepared himself for death. He strained his legs, placed his hands at his sides, and closed his eyes until his pure soul left his body. Hasana wa Imama, oh oppressed Imam, oh poisoned Imam. Imam al-Hussain calls out, Akhi, Akhi, man li ba'daka ya Akhi. Oh my brother, who will aid me after you? They washed and shrouded him and headed with him towards his grandfather Rasulullah. There the enemy of Islam came with an apparent message. They shot arrows at the funeral intercession of our master Imam al-Mujtaba to prevent Ahl al-Bayt from burying him next to the Prophet Rasulullah. The narrations say that the coffin of Imam al-Hassan was pierced with 70 arrows. Wa Hassana wa Imama. Banu Hashim removed the arrows, and Imam al-Hussein called out to them, "Oh, Bani Hashim, don't forget my brothers Hassan as well, that the blood of the Muslims is not to be spilled in his funeral." They then took him to the Baqi', and the Imam buried him. Imam al-Hussein mourned for the death of his brother. From the tragedy of Sayyida Fatima alayhi salam to Imam Ali alayhi salam to Imam al-Hussein, and the other calamities in Karbala, Sayyida Zainab alayhi salam witnessed and suffered through all. They say there are narrations about Imam al-Sajjad Zainul Abidin. He has said, the death of my brother Ali al-Akbar did not defeat me, nor did my uncle Abbas, neither this or this, but what defeated me was the standing of my aunt Zainab in the core of Yazid, then the placing of the head of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam in the hands of Yazid. When Sayyida Zainab saw the blessed holy head, she was overtaken with grief, and she called out in a grief-stricken voice that will break your heart. Wa Husayna, wa Habiba, wa Husayna, ya Habib Rasulallah. Oh, the son of Mecca, Mina. Oh, the son of Fatima al-Zahra. Oh, the son of Ali. What did they do to your head, oh Akhi Hussein? The narrator said she cried, and by Allah, so did all those that were present in the core of Yazid. La'anahumullah, la'anahumullah. Then Yazid proceeded to hit the holy head of Imam with a stick during the evening, and the wife of Yazid and a former servant to Our Lady Fatima al-Zahra came. When Lady Zainab, peace be upon her, saw her coming, she whispered in her sister Kulthum's ear and said, Ukhtah, sister, do you know her? And Kulthum said, no, my sister Zainab. Sayyida Zainab said, she was our servant and daughter of Abd Kulthum was quiet and put her head down and came closer and sat on a chair close to Lady Zainab, and then said, Akhta, sister, from what country are you from? And Sayyida Zainab said, from the land of Medina. When Hind heard of Medina, she came down from her chair and said, Sister, I would like to ask you about a house in Medina. She said, ask, what are you looking for? And said, I ask you about Ali ibn Abi Talib's house. I ask you about Hussein and his siblings and his children, and about the rest of Ali's children. And I ask you about my lady Zainab and her sister Kulthum and the rest of the family of the Sayyidati wa Mawlat al-Zahra. Lady Zainab said, oh Hind, if you are asking about the house of Ali, we left him mourning over its family. And if you are asking about Al-Hussein, there is his head in between the hands of your husband Yazid. And if you are asking about Al-Abbas and the rest of the sons of Ali alayhi salam, we have left them on the grounds of Karbala, massacred as sacrifices without heads. And if you are asking about Zainul Abidin, for he is ill, thin and not able to rise from the frequent disease. And if you are asking about Zainab, I am Zainab, the daughter of Ali, and this is Kulthum, and the last remains of Fatima al-Zahra alayha salam. When Hind heard these words from Lady Zainab, she looked closely, cried, and called out, Wa Imama, Wa Hussaina. I wish I had become blind before this day, so that I do not see the daughters of Fatima al-Zahra in such a state. Imagine Imam Hussain with his beheaded head, and the family of Rasulullah in Yazid's palace, being oppressed by the la'een. عليك من السلام سيدي ومولاي، وعلى أخيك الحسن المجتبى سلام الله عليكما. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. إلهي وسيدي ومولاي يا من إليه شكوت أحوالي، يا ربي يا ربي يا رب. Oh Allah, hasten the return of our Imam, Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman. Cure our sick, make us from his protectors and his soldiers. Guide us on the right path, the path of Rasulullah wa Ahlu Bayt Rasulullah alayhim as-salam. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. تفضلوا شباب تفضلوا. ثانية على حب الزهراء. الثالثة لتعجيل فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان بأعلى أصواتكم. محمد يا حسين ومصابه يا حسين ومصابه يا حسين ومصابه يا حسين ومصابه لأجله العين سجابه يا حسين ومصابه يا بعد شباب يا حسين ومصابه قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين صوتكم، قل لي يا صدرك، قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، قل لي يا حسين الله يا حبيب المرتضى وين بالأهل ضاعن عن الدار وتارك المسكن بلياك، أغفر يروي لي أكدار والسكن من غيرك شلون ينسكن وتعمر ديار، لو أصد بعيوني من صوب دارك يعذبني تجار، قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، شدرك قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، الله يا عزيز المصطفى تروح والمدينة خلاص جفني لحظات تنزع بأوصالي الجروح، وانظرك بلهفة الشوق على وطية وانت مذبوح، واشعر بهالضعنة للموت يا حبيبي معزمة روح. قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، قل لي يا حسين بعد شباب، قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، الله يا عزيز المصطفى تروح والمدينة خلافك تروح، لو أغمض جفني لحظات تنزع بأوصالي الجروح، وانصرك الله وانظرك بلهفة الشوق على وطية وانت مذبوح، واشعر بهالضعنة للموت يا حبيبي معزمة روح. قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، بعد شباب قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، الله ما أشوف بهالسفر فيه يا حبيبي رجوة رجوع، راحل وتاركني أتناك واحمل الغبنة بالضلوع، والحبيب اللي حاجيك ما تفتر منه الدموع، يا باقي الداحي الباب ويا فرد شامل المجموع. قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، بعد شباب قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، الله يا حبيب المرتضى وين، بالأهل ضاعنا عن الدار تارك المسكن بلياك، أغفر يروي لي أكدار، أغفر يروي لي أكدار، والسكن من غيرك شلون ينسكن وتعمر ديار، لو أصد بعيوني من صوب دارك يعذبني تجار. قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، صوتك شباب قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، بعد شباب قل لي الله يا عزيز المصطفى تروح والمدينة خلافك تروح، لو أغمض جفني لحظات تنزع بأوصالي الجروح، وانظرك بلهفة الشوق على وطية وانت مذبوح، واشعر بهالضعنة للموت يا حبيبي معزمة روح. قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، بعد شباب قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، يا عزيز المصطفى تروح والمدينة خلافك تروح، لو أغمض جفني لحظات تنزع بأوصالي الجروح، وانظرك بلهفة الشوق على وطية وانت مذبوح، واجهر الله واشعر بهالضعنة للموت يا حبيبي معزمة روح. قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، بعد شباب قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، قل لي يا حسين رايح لوين، رسالتنا حسينية رسالتنا حسينية ولائية فدائية قولوا ولائية فدائية رسالتنا حسينية رسالتنا حسينية ولائية فدائية رسالة بعد شباب رسالتنا حسيني ولائية فدائية ولائية يا كربلاء ما انت فشته بينهم أكبارها مالت العيس ومالت فوقها أكوارها وتصايحنا النساء كربلاء يا كربلاء وتصايحنا النساء كربلاء يا ما حال سماء خسفت أقمارها ما حال سماء خسفت أقمارها كربلاء ما انت فشته بينهم أكبارها مالت العيس ومالت فوقها أكوارها وتصايحنا النساء كربلاء يا كربلاء وتصايحنا النساء كربلاء الله ما حال سماء خسفت أقمارها ما حال سماء خسفت أقمارها ألا يا كربلاء أتارك والسباء ألا يا كربلاء أتارك والسباء ومن بين حناياه دم ينسكب ومن بين حناياه دم ينسكب يتامى ونساء بصبح ومساء يتامى ونساء بصبح ومساء إهانات العداء بحقهم ترتكب كم شربوا الذل كؤوسا كم شهدوا ليلا عبوسا كم شربوا الذل كؤوسا كم شهدوا ليلا عبوسا قيد وغل وذل عظيم فأزهقوا منهم نفوسا لو رفعوا تلك الرؤوس يختم فصل وفصل يقيم يختم فصل وفصل يقيم كم شربوا الذل كؤوسا كم شهدوا ليلا عبوسا قيد وغل وذل عظيم فأزهقوا منهم نفوسا لو رفعوا تلك الرؤوس يختم فصل وفصل يقيم يختم فصل وفصل يقيم رسالتنا حسينية ولائية 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 رسالتنا حسينية ولائية 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 كربلاء ما انت فشته بينهم أكبارها مالت العيس ومالت فوقها أكوارها وتصايحنا النساء كربلاء يا كربلاء وتصايحنا النساء كربلاء لا ما حال سماء خسفت أقمارها ما حال سماء خسفت أقمارها كربلاء ما انت فشته بينهم أكبارها مالت طالت العيس ومالت فوقها أكوارها، وتصايحنا النساء كربلاء يا كربلاء، وتصايحنا النساء لا ما حال سماء خسفت أقمارها، ما حال سماء خسفت أقمارها، ألا يا كربلاء أتارك السباع، ألا يا كربلاء أتارك السباع، ومن بين حناياه دم ينسكب، ومن بين حناياه دم ينسكب، يتامى ونساء بصبح ومساء، بيتامى ونساء بصبح ومساء، إهانة العدا بحقهم ترتكب، كم شربوا الذل كؤوسا، كم شهدوا ليلا عبوسا، كم شربوا الذل كؤوسا، كم شهدوا ليلا عبوسا، قيد وغل وذل عظيم، فأزهقوا منهم نفوسا، لو رفعوا تلك الرؤوس يختم فصل وفصل يقيم، كم شربوا الذل كؤوسا، كم شهدوا ليلا عبوسا، قيد وغل وذل عظيم، فأزهقوا منهم نفوسا، لو رفعوا تلك الرؤوس يختم فصل وفصل يقيم، يختم فصل وفصل يقيم، رسالتنا حسينية، رسالتنا حسينية، ولائية فدائية، ولائية ولائية فداء، رسالتنا رسالتنا حسينية، رسالتنا حسينية، ولائية ولائية فدائية، ولائية يا لو رأت عينك ما عدنا وكنت عافرا، لنزعت السهم منها وحملت الباطرا، لو رأت عينك ما عدنا وكنت عافرا، لنزعت السهم منها وحملت الباطرا، لو رأيت غربتي، لو رأيت محنتي، لو رأيت غربتي، لو رأيت محنتي، كان كفي يا أبا الفضل لوجه ساترا، كان كفي يا أبا الفضل لوجه ساترا، لو رأت عينك ما عدنا وكنت عافرا، لنزعت السهم منها وحملت الباطرا، لو رأيت غربتي، لو رأيت محنتي، لو رأيت غربتي، لو رأيت محنتي، كان كفي يا أبا الفضل لوجه ساترا، أنا كفي يا أبا الفضل لوجه ساترا، ولو أبصرتنا ولو عاينتنا، ولو أبصرتنا ولو عاينتنا، سباياك سبا يرمون في شماتهم بها جسم العنا، سبايا ما لنا سوى قلب وصوت في يدي جلادهم، يوم الأحال القلب جمرا لم يبقي للصابر صبرا، يوم الأحال القلب جمرا لم يبقي للصابر صبرا، للشام علت ورفت لواها، عيدت الشمات جهرا، لا ما رأت للآل قدرا، جاروا حيارى أسارى إليها، جاروا حيارى أسارى إليها، يوم الأحال القلب جمرا لم يبقي للصابر صبرا، للشام علت ورفت لواها، عيدت الشمات جهرا، لا ما رأت للآل الآل قدرا جاروا حيارى أسارى إليها جاروا حيارى أسارى إليها جاروا حيارى أسارى إليه رسالتنا رسالتنا ولائية ولائية فدائية ولائية فدائية رسالتنا رسالتنا حسينية رسالتنا حسينية ولائية ولائية فدائية ولائية ولائية لو رأت عينك ما عدنا وكنت عافرا لنزعت السهم منها وحملت الباترا لو رأت عينك ما عدنا وكنت عافرا لنزعت السهم منها وحملت الباترا لو رأيت غربتي لو رأيت محنتي لو رأيت غربتي لو رأيت محنتي كان كفي يا أبا الفضل لوجه ساترا كان كفي يا أبا الفضل لوجه ساترا لو رأت عينك ما عدنا وكنت عافرا لنزعت السهم منها وحملت الباترا لو رأيت غربتي لو رأيت محنتي لو رأيت غربتي محنتي كان كفي يا أبا الفضل لوجه ساترا كان كفي يا أبا الفضل لوجه ساترا ولو أبصرتنا ولو عاينتنا ولو أبصرتنا ولو عاينتنا سباياك سبا يرمون في شماتهم بها جسم العنا سبايا ما لنا سوى قلب وصوت في يدي جلادهم يوم الأحال القلب جمرا لم يبقي للصابر صبرا يوم الأحال القلب جمرا لم يبقي للصابر صبرا للشام علت ورفت لواها للشام علت ورفت لواها عيدت الشمات جهرا لا ما رأت للآل قدرا عيدت الشمات جهرا لا ما رأت للآل قدرا جاروا حيارى أسارى إليها جاروا حيارى أسارى إليه الله يوم الأحال القلب جمرا لم يبقي للصابر صبرا يوم الأحال القلب جمرا لم يبقي للصابر صبرا للشام علت ورفت لواها عيدت الشمات جهرا لا ما رأت للآل قدرا جاروا حيارى أسارى إليها جاروا حيارى أسارى إليه رسالتنا رسالتنا حسينية رسالتنا حسينية ولائية فدائية رسالتنا رسالتنا حسينية رسالتنا حسينية ولائية ولائية فدائية ولائية هذا الوعد والوعدين هذا الوعد والوعدين نوالي علي ونبكي على حسين نوالي علي ونبكي على حسين هذا العهد والوعدين هذا الوعد والوعدين نوالي علي ونبكي على حسين نوالي علي علي ونبكي صدرك هذا الوعد والوعدين هذا الوعد نوالي علي ونبكي على حسين نوالي صدرك هذا الوعد والوعدين هذا الوعد والوعدين نوالي علي ونبكي على حسين نوالي علي ونبكي على هذا الوعد هذا الوعد نوالي علي ونبكي حسين الله اختارنا من عالم الدار واسمنا الشيعة تكرر حدار تعاهدنا مثل أشتر وبادار على الظالم نصيح الله أكبر على الظالم نصيح الله أكبر على الظالم نصيح الله أكبر إذا صحنا على الأملاك تفخار وإذا صحنا حسين الزهرة تحضار إذا صحنا على الأملاك تفخار وإذا صحنا حسين الزهرة تحضار حب الوصي قرة العين حب الوصي قرة العين نوالي علي ونبكي على حسين نوالي علي ونبكي على حسين هذا الوعد والوعدين هذا الوعد والوعدين نوالي علي ونبكي على حسين بعد نوالي علي ونبكي على حسين هذا الوعد والوعدين حسين عقيدتنا أصيل بها غاية على قلب النبي بدت لآية أبد ما تطيح رايات الولاية أبد ما تطيح رايات الولاية وعباس الوفي شايل الراية وعباس الوفي شايل الراية نقضي العمر بين الاثنين نقضي العمر بين الاثنين نوالي علي ونبكي على حسين نوالي علي ونبكي هذا الوعد والوعد هذا الوعد والوعد نوالي علي ونبكي على حسين نوالي علي ونبكي هذا الوعد والوعدين نوالي علي ونبكي على حسين نوالي علي بعد هذا الوعد والوعدين نوالي علي ونبكي على حسين نوالي علي ونبكي على حسين ركب المهر ورف العلم وبضلع فاطم قد قسم ركب المهر ورف العلم وبضلع فاطم قد قسم عصب الرأس بخيط أخضر رفع الصوت الولائي وكبر الله أكبر يا علي الله أكبر الله سمعته أمه وهي تقول لا تخيب أملي عند البتول قال دعواك يا أمي ستريني مخضرا من الله كربلاء ايش سويتي عباس ما كربلاء ايش سويتي ليتي كربلاء ايش سويتي ركب المهر ورف العلم وبضلع فاطم قد قسم عصب الرأس بخيط أخضر رفع الصوت الولائي وكبر الله أكبر يا علي الله أكبر سمعته أمه وهي تقول لا تخيب أملي عند البتول علي يا علي سمعته أمه وهي تقول لا تخيب أملي عند البتول قال دعواك يا أمي سترين مخطبا قال دعواك يا أمي دمي كربلاء ايش سويتي عباس ما خليتي كربلاء ايش سويتي عباس ما خليتي كربلاء ايش سويتي صدرك صدر كربلاء ايش سويتي عباس ما خليتي 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 كربلاء ايش سويتي عباس ما لا اله الا الله حي لا اله الا الله حي على ما يا لا اله الا الله حي على ما زنب على التل وقفت ما زينب على التل وقفت باس أين أخي أبا الفاضل بنا أين أخي أبا الفاضل كربلاء لا إله إلا الله حي عمال لا إله إلا الله ما لا إله إلا الله ما لا إله إلا الله ما يا حبيب ابن مظاهر يا حبيب ابن مظاهر طيح شباب من الخيام لي طلع شباب من الخيام لي طلع شباب من الخيام لا إله إلا الله حي ما لا إله إلا الله ما لا إله إلا الله ما لا إله إلا الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا ودليلا وعينا حتى وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين. صلى الله عليك يا صاحب الزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وجعلنا من أعوانك وأنصارك وشيعتك ومحبيك والمستشهدين بين يديك ورحمة الله وبركاته. أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد.
Dear brothers and sisters, that concludes tonight's program. Inshallah, tomorrow we will reconvene at 6:30 with the Arabic program, and right after that at 8 o'clock the English program. عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم. صلى على محمد وآل محمد.